And from the first and only road course of the season, we move to the tricky triangle here at Pocono Speedway. It is going to be an interesting point as we hit halfway in the regular season. This is round 7 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. It's myself, Cameron Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me for the oddly sweet 3-turn oval by Team Superior as we come to Pocono for some restrictor plate racing and 87 laps of action coming your way around this very unique and quirky track, as the name suggests. Just 3 turns here, and certainly a very interesting track to come as we move away from the road course of Indianapolis. Of course, we saw a slightly different style of race there compared to what we've been seeing all season. We started way back at Auto Club before working our way through some different types of tracks. We've had short tracks, we've had the long tracks like Talladega, and we come to another similar one here at Pocono. There's going to be a lot of team play working themselves, and of course we do a big shout out to Team Superior for supporting this race. That is Dennis Scherp, Robert Eriksson, Connie Lindell and Anton Bratberg, who were very fast actually at Talladega back when we had the previous race. Here's how your championship stands after 6 rounds of action. Linus Broström leads the way by some 14 points, but importantly, he is yet to get a win and lock himself into the playoffs. Some 5 other drivers have wins, so they are already locked in. So Linus is probably still good on points, but I'm sure he's going to want to get that victory to just confirm it. As I say, we are halfway through that regular season. Between now and Daytona in February, we'll be finding out the drivers for the top 15 before we work our way into the playoffs, and then we'll have 5 races to determine our champion, who will be crowned in May 2025. It's certainly hotly contested in this championship. A lot of drivers there can still be, of course, getting themselves up into the playoffs, and then who knows, if you're in the playoffs, you're still in with a shout. If you win a race, you will progress. As we come, of course, into the live action as the qualifying session is coming to an end. Jesper Eriksson is up towards the top. What can he do after a disappointing race back at Indianapolis? He was leading, but unfortunately he was involved in a crash with Dominic Svicky. Svicky penalised for that one, but it doesn't change the fact that Eriksson unfortunately didn't finish in the end. And Ewan, I think this is going to be a completely different style of race, a bit of maybe normality coming back after that road course race.
Well, normality in the sense that it is oval style again, but it, as you say, it is the uniquest of unique ovals here today. Back to something more normal in 2 weeks' time at Iowa, but 3 turns round here rather than the usual 4. That doesn't really make any sense to me, but anyway, you get the point. It is 3 different turns as well. They're all modelled on different circuits around the world. 14 degrees of banking through the sharpest of the corners. That's turn 1. The least sharp is turn 2. That's 8 degrees of banking. And turn 3 is just 6 degrees, more akin to a sort of Indianapolis-style corner. Pretty flat around that final turn. It is a bizarre racetrack in many ways, but it is an entertaining one. Hopefully, we will see that over the course of tonight's race.
Absolutely. And here is the grid for today's oddly sweet 3-turn oval by Team Superior, but it is the Sim Race Sweden cars at the front there. Jesper Eriksson on the pole position, the Mulby Bright Esports of Oliver Bohlin alongside him on that front row. Dan Holmer and Evan Forsland are on your second row. Aronson and Broström in behind, so really 6 of the top drivers here in the championship getting themselves up towards the front in qualifying. Uvenen and Lundberg are in there behind before we get a Team Superior car with Robert Eriksson in P9, and then we have Tademo inside the top 10. Peter Helmrose in P11 and Christian Gantz is in P12 to round out the front 6 rows of the grid. Kenneth Tiers in P13 with Jocke Schu in 14th place. Holmbom is in 15th with Håkan Schott, Wunderbar and Bjorn Broström rounding out the top 18 for today's grid. Marcus Hogman, who's actually looking really good, and he's had a lot of good scoring points, but he's down in P19 today on the grid. Nordgren is next to him in P20. Lundell, Pfeffer, Bratberg and Knell round out the top 12 rows of the grid. And Marcus Stiller, as usual, starting from the back. I thought this was just maybe just him being a bit slower in the qualifying, but it seems like he wants to start from the back in every race, and he generally does work his way forward. So definitely a lot out there on the track. 25 cars today, and I expect we're going to see some teammates try and find each other and do some bump drafting around here. We had the likes of the Alcantech cars last year in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 formation at points during these bump drafting tracks. Certainly quite a key thing to find your teammates.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it could be a little bit less of a factor, to be honest, than certainly that it is at a super speedway where you've got obviously no real corners to lift off for. Around here it is a lot more technical, so I think it could be less of a factor maybe than there, as we have a look at the information in the bottom right. Those 4 tyre sets, how are they going to play into this race? Because we've got a big drop off. We are hearing that the fuel can go 35 laps or so, but the tyres will be dropping off to the tune of 2 or 2.5 seconds by that point in the stint. How many drivers are going to be putting up with that, and for how long over the course of this race? 4 tyre sets, of course, that means that you've got 3 to put on, 3 possible stops to make. I would hope you'd want to be going at the very least to lap 30 maybe on this opening green flag run. We'll see indeed if we get a green flag run as long as that to start this race off.
Yes, I think the cautions are going to be the biggest factor in that, because as ever, you really want to stay out. You don't want to be doing the green flag pit stops, even if you do lose a couple of seconds. But we'll have to see how the race plays out. We're told about 7 cautions is what it would be for us to go to the time limit of 1 hour and 45 minutes. So hopefully we do stay under green flag. And actually, we've had quite long green flag runs this season, haven't we?
We certainly have. The longest was totaling over 350 kilometres to the very long end of the Kansas race, which had a couple of early ones and then a long green flag run to the end. And at Talladega as well, where we got quite a long way through the race without seeing a caution. So far, our run is up to 215 kilometres with the Indianapolis race and the end of Homestead, although the end of Homestead was about a couple of laps. So if we go 35 laps here today, we will have a new record, and we'll be edging our way towards 350 kilometres of green flag racing all over again. We'll see how far we can get.
Yeah, that'll be good fun if we can do so, but you never know what is going to happen on these ovals. It's a fast one around here, tricky, as the name suggests, at the tricky triangle, but we will have to just see what is going to happen. Once more though, Jesper Eriksson is up at the front. He's got a couple of wins so far this season, the only driver with more than 1 victory. The pace car comes in, and the oddly sweet 3 turnover by Team Superior will get underway as we also go for round 7 of the Bohlin Svenska iRacing Is a good start from the 37 machine there as he works his way towards the first corner. It's such a long run here as they get themselves up to speed, and he's actually moving over to the right hand side to try and block off Oliver Bohlin, who's coming around the outside, as is of course Dan Holmer, the teammate of Eriksson, who's there in 2nd place.
Yeah, through the opening corner, they're going to get single file pretty quickly, I would imagine, at the front of the field. You can see them weaving around, trying to help teammates. Now they get into line, the front 4, single file in towards turn 2, along as well with 5th place. And Tony Uvenen, Edvin Forsund and Linus Broström go side by side for 6th place.
Yeah, this is a lovely start so far as we work our way up towards the 3rd and final corner of the circuit. We're side by side. This final corner really is so tricky just because of the lack of banking around the outside there for Forsund. He tries to go almost a 3-wide situation momentarily as they work their way towards the wall. I think one driver was in the wall there. That was Holmer just ahead of Eriksson as we are 3-wide coming down the front straight away. We've got Linus Broström. He's got Forsund involved in there as well. They come towards turn 1. The top couple have got away. Forsund there trying to go still through the middle of that 3-wide situation. Broström holding it down low and Uvenen up high.
Yeah, this is through the steepest of the corners on this circuit. Side by side they go, and this is going to be the slipstream for Uvenen that's going to see him get this pass done into 5th place, or repass, I suppose, in the 84, back past Broström, and now they're properly single file. It can be quite difficult to actually overtake around here at Pocono at times, so getting moves done early on might be the key. Edvin Forsund looking at that now as well. Linus Broström knows he's there. Forsund has a little look. He's diving slightly to the low side, but he won't get alongside at the final corner.
Not just yet, but he might get the run out onto the straight. It is a very interesting way that the racing works around here, but let's see how it goes. Of course, the tyre wear not being a factor until we get a bit further in the race. Oliver Bohlin round the outside, though, of turn 1. He's obviously got the run off turn 3, but can Eriksson hold it down low? But the banking on the outside might keep Bohlin in check here as he works way up towards the wall on the exit of turn 1. There's been a few drivers in that wall over the years, and let's see if he can complete this move. Looks like Eriksson might just have to back out of that one. He certainly does. So Bohlin, the 72, takes the lead as he drops down low.
Yeah, very good pass indeed from Oliver Bohlin, who's already got a pole position in this season, of course, and now he's going to lead a lap as well here on lap number 3 at Pocono. So good start for him, and the two have got away from the rest of the field just a little bit here as well. 1 and 2, just a second ahead of Alexander Oaten, who's leading the charge further behind, but there it is officially. Oliver Bohlin leads this race at the end of lap 3.
And talking of laps led, there was only 2 drivers to lead. We'll get to that in a second, though, because the 10 has gone around. First caution of the day, that is Cedric Holmbaum for the Simrace Sweden Academy team. I wonder if there was contact with another driver, or has he just ping-ponged off the wall on the exit of 3?
Yeah, we'll get a replay in a few minutes' time of that, of course, but it looks like he's the only one who's been damaged as a result of it. Let's have a look. He slides straight up in front of somebody, grabs the outside wall, and then whoever that is behind him didn't really have any choice but to run into the back of him.
Yeah, that's the 111 of Bratberg, I believe, one of the Team Superior cars. And it just shows you how easy it is to make the slightest bit of contact. And then, unfortunately, you just wiggle the car. That's one thing that we've really noticed this year, actually, is drivers struggling with the rear ends of their machines on all the different tracks, actually. The fast tracks, the slower tracks, even the road course that we saw 2 weeks ago at Indianapolis as well. The rear end is really a big struggle for these drivers as the pace truck comes back out, and we go on to lap number 5.
Yep, so we complete the first lap under caution here at Pocono, although I don't think the pace car quite picked them up first time round, because Bohlin and Ericsson had just gotten over the line by the time that the caution came out, so we had to wait a little bit longer than we otherwise might expect to see. But it's another story in a theme I've been picking up, and I'm sure everyone's been noticing at home as well if you've been watching along. This season has had a lot of early cautions. There's not been very many races where we've had a really nice long green flag run to begin with. I can only think of Talladega, to be honest, of the races we've had so far that have had good green flag runs to begin here.
Yeah, was it at Homestead, Miami? We didn't even get to the end of lap 1, did we? Yeah. It was in turn 3, turn 4, where there were issues that day. Maybe for Forsen actually potentially involved in that one, but they all lined up this time around, and maybe it's just one of those things. The drivers need to just settle down into the race. 87 laps around here, of course, is a decent way. It is one of the longest circuits on the calendar, and that is obviously why it's so famous, being such high speed. But let's see how this one's going to work itself out. I don't expect any pit stops just yet, Ewan, but we will have to see, because stage is on lap 40 and fuel is 35 laps, so maybe there will be some divers down who want to get the fuel in the tank and to try and make sure they go to that stage. Actually, Bohlin kind of half-faked it, but a few drivers did follow and actually committed to it.
Only the top 5 have stayed out so far. Robert Ericsson also stays out. Most of the others are in here. Yeah, there's about half the field coming in. I think exactly for the reason you're saying there. I would be surprised if tyres are taken, because I think that's a little bit silly with only 3 laps effectively done under green. Not really worth it, but who goes up on the jacks here? Just watch for the right-hand sides first. Will they go anywhere? Nobody so far. It is just fuel, and that probably is a good call if you're thinking about stage points. For those who are already into the playoffs at the end of the season, like Ericsson and Holmer, who have stayed out at the front of the field, those stage points probably less of a concern.
I guess it depends how many cautions we have. If this is just the one and then we go green, it will be a little bit tight for those who are staying out to the end. But if there's another caution, then maybe there's another caution, I don't know, one stage is 40, so maybe there's a caution around lap 30. Everyone's going to come in anyway, and then if the people who drop back behind haven't made up any positions, then they're at a net loss. So it depends really how the cautions go, but you of course can't control that, so you can only do what you can control, and that is trying to take a step in a different direction to the other drivers around you. So we'll have to obviously keep an eye on the 24, the 71 and the likes who just made that pit stop.
We will, yeah. I'm seeing at the moment, by the way, Thomas Kinnell has picked up a bit of damage to his front right from what I was seeing on a camera shot a couple of moments ago. Don't know how true that is, or indeed where he's picked that up from. It's on, looks okay on the left-hand side. I think it was on the other side, though. The fender sort of bent in. I wonder whether he was the driver who ran over. It was an orange car that ran over Holmbaum, was it? So it wasn't Kinnell, but as he just comes around turn 3 here, looking for a bit of damage. Have I been seeing things? No, that fender is definitely pushed in. I don't know where he's picked that up from.
Yeah, either just a bit of contact with the driver that we haven't quite seen, or it could just be a brush of the wall. The exit of turn 1, turn 3, those are really some places where you can just nudge the wall, and he will have some top speed damage. We saw this in a couple of previous races where Jesper Eriksson actually had some damage, and that was starting to be a little bit of an issue for him, and they were having to work with their teammates to try and work out where to put him on the track. As it looks like we are lining up to go back to green flag racing after just, what was it, about 4 laps we got there before we had the first caution.
Yeah, this is 150th lap under caution this season, by the way, for those counting at home. I know you might have run out of fingers by now, but it is 150, and that takes us over 250 kilometres lost to caution laps so far this season. But it has been certainly less cautions in the recent past. I mean, the 17 at Bristol certainly weighing us down a little bit.
Yeah, don't remind us. That was that's such an interesting track, and it just never seems to go green, of course, for the obvious reasons. But hopefully we go for green a little bit longer this time around. Lap 7 of 80, so 80 laps remaining in the oddly sweet 3 turnover by Team Superior. But unfortunately, no Team Superior cars too close to the front just yet. There is Ericsson in the orange machine on that 3rd row. Can they work their way forward? But they've got 3 Sim Race Sweden cars in the likes ahead of them as the pace truck will come around to the final corner before we go back to green flag racing. Oliver Bohlin, of course, took the lead, so he'll have the inside line this time around, the reverse from where they were on that first start. He'll have the control of the field. Jesper Eriksson needs to try and find his way past, but he's certainly very good at doing that in the last year and a half or so. And it's going to be a long race for these drivers to work themselves out. Half the grid stayed out, half of them went in to get some extra fuel and to try and go to the end of the stage, which is on lap 40. Oliver Wallen gets us underway once more as we go back to green flag racing. Is a great jump from him as well. Got a couple of car lengths ahead already, as Dan Holm was a little bit left on his own. Forson is miles behind in that inside line, so Wallen should have a nice clean entry here into turn 1.
He certainly does. It was single file for the top 5 out of turn number 1 first time round. What about this time round as they make their way out of turn 1 for the first time? 5 single file again with Robert Eriksson. Oh, getting himself in. I think that's Alexander Albertson, who's all out of shape out in the background, as some of those who pitted under this first caution are having to work their way through the field immediately.
I wonder if that was just avoiding action. We'll have to obviously see if anything comes from that, because of course he's trying to work his way back up through the field after making a stop in that caution for some fuel. We work our way into turn 3 for the first time, asking on this restart, and it's so difficult to go side by side. Someone is trying that around the outside of Forceland. So Yokushu keeping himself in that P6 in the background. So we've got Tademo trying to chase down Wilderboa, who's having a good run up there in P8.
Yeah, certainly a good run for him early on. Made up already 9 places as Wilderboa so far in this race. Patrick Pfeffer has made up 11. Obviously, some of those will have come because of pit stops. However, it's still impressive, and he's still ahead of Alexander Albertson, who's leading the charge right now of those who stopped with Linus Broström. In fact, they're going side by side, almost tripping over each other while they're trying to pass cars themselves. Here they go 3 wide as they continue their personal battle past those who are down towards the back of those who stayed out. Oh, it's a big crash in the background.
Yeah, Kenneth is involved, Kinnell as well in that 14 machine. There were definitely some more drivers. Caution comes out again, and that was a big hit for the Bright Esports machine. So they have obviously gone side by side into turn 2 and not able to escape from that one without some issues. So that's going to be a couple of drivers down pit road. So Eric Lundberg is also down pit road, so he must have been involved in that one, unfortunately, but I'm sure there was some more.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Kenneth Cheer and Eric Lundberg are just the ones who had to escape back to pit lane and tow their cars back. We don't know the extent to which everyone else was involved. It may, oh no, the 607 got absolutely smashed there. Pontus Norgren, that is. Connie Lundell is also into the pit lane immediately, as is Thomas Kinnell, and then Norgren as well. So those seem to be the 5 that all made contact. It was Lundberg and Tier initially, with a bit of a misunderstanding as to just how high they were going to go through turn 2, it looked to me.
Yeah, they came in a lot deeper than Kinnell, into a lot more speed into turn 2. And then it was Norgren, unfortunately, making that contact. And then it was the 91 of Connie Lundell, one of the Team Superior cars, who are going to be on board with now. Just nowhere to go. The 607 just stopping dead in his tracks ahead of him. and unfortunately just a narrow point of the track, and that Hood is looks like he's had a better day. So a long pit stop coming for those 5 drivers.
Yeah, certainly is going to be a very long stop for them. Lundberg was one of those involved in a caution at Bristol with Cedric Holmbaum, so quite bizarre that both of them have been involved again during this round. So yeah, not his first time involved in a caution, unfortunately, but a very, very big incident indeed through turn 2, and some more opportunities to stop now as well. Some takers again, but certainly not all from the top 5 or so.
Yes, a lot of them, but importantly, not Oliver Wallen, who's been left out to dry with Uvinen, with Ericsson, and with Yokoshu. So those 4 drivers staying out, and maybe Gantz as well. Yes, so Linus Broström downwards, P6 downwards, they've already stopped to the first caution. It's just these 5 drivers at the front who have stopped on neither of the cautions. To gas and go, just for these drivers, as you would expect. So they are just trying to make sure they can easily get it to and past the stage at this point. But the 5 drivers there, having said that, actually this second caution will help them on the fuel mileage, but the tyres, of course, is still going to be an issue for everyone.
It's really going to help them on fuel mileage. I personally think that if there's one more caution in the next 40 laps, then they will be able to make it to the stage, those who have stayed out. But indeed, if there is one more, will they decide that coming in might be worth it anyway? Not entirely sure, but it's certainly looking like a good call to have pitted under that first caution now for the likes of Linus Broström and Alexander Aronson especially, who have made their way up to 6th and 7th respectively now. They've barely lost any places from where they started the day, so they are in a very good position indeed. But these further behind, they're involved in the midfield, and as we've just seen, that may not be the best place to be, because anything can happen there.
Indeed, it's a tricky one when everyone's fighting for places, and as you're mentioning, Ewan, it's just worked out perfectly for those 2 Mobby Bright Esports of Broström and Aronson. But that is the risk that you have to take. And to be honest, it all depended when the cautions came out, and they came out so soon after that it meant that everyone else really had to take that stop. Although 5 have stayed out, I do slightly fear for them if they're going to have to do some fuel saving to make it to the stage. But with how many laps, or how long the lap is around here, you actually get quite a lot of time under these cautions. So they should be saving a lot, and it should be possible, at least, as the lights come out. So we'll be going back to green flag racing.
Yeah, it should be possible to save a lot of fuel, but then again, they do use quite a lot of fuel on one lap as well compared to the other circuits. Cost 2.5 miles around here, just over 4 kilometres, same roughly as Daytona, with a little bit more lifting off. So they should be able to go those 40 laps, I believe, if there is one more caution. But then, you know, if there is another one, is Oliver Wallen going to decide, especially Tony Uvinen as well, going to decide that pitting in is a better call because of tyres as well? Let's not forget, these tyres are getting a bit of a run out now. If there is another one after this at some point between now and the stage, I would think that some people are not only tempted to pit in for fuel purposes, but for tyres as well.
Yeah, I guess we have only had like 6 or 7 laps at full speed though. So that might be a thing to note regarding the tyres and how long they want to go. But again, it just depends when the cautions come out and how reactive you want to be for that, how much risk you want to take. And we have 3 different strategies out there on the track at the moment. We have those who haven't stopped at all, the top 5. We have those who stopped to the first caution on lap 5. They're that middle pack. And then at the back is those drivers who have just stopped. And they have now stopped at the second caution. And I wonder, Ewan, are they going to take any different approaches as we get to this next restart? Or is it just that all the drivers are going to be fighting hard once more for all of their positions? It is, of course, the oddly sweet 3 turnover by Team Superior. They've got Ericsson up there in 3rd place as it stands. They've got Bratberg inside the top 10 as well. Are they going to be able to work their way forward and potentially even lead a lap and get a couple of the bonus points that come with that? As we work our way out to the final corner, we get into the restart zone, and the 72 of Oliver Wallen is going to get us underway for the second time tonight as we come back to green flag racing after the second caution. We have a good run towards turn 1. Bratberg is actually side by side trying to make the move on Tony Uvinen as we work our way into turn 1, as the Toyota on that inside line should actually have a good run, maybe even get that second place.
Yeah, looks like Robert Ericsson has got it, although Ubinen's going to get the run out here on the exit of turn number 1, so he will have the speed down the second straight of this circuit, and just in behind Ericsson is Linus Broström, already knocking on the door of a top 5 and pushing Ericsson into turn 2, almost there. He's looking for his way through, and at the moment he's just going to hang back through that corner. Jacques Su holds on to third place ahead of Robert Ericsson, then it's Broström. Peter Helmbro is in between Broström and Alexander Ericsson, who's down to 7th.
And it's Gantz in P8 who's actually lost out the most on that restart in this top pack. They'll come all big hit into the wall there. That's Jacques Su from third place. Has he got damage on that car? Either way, he's lost a lot of momentum. The 71's going to go past, and even Robert Ericsson. Well, actually, Ericsson is slowed down a bit there as well. So up the inside, it's actually going to be Ericsson getting a huge run with Peter Helmbro jumping up into P4.
Yeah, I think Ericsson wanted to go around the stricken Jacques Su there, but he saw and heard from his spotter that there was someone alongside him and thought, I might not have space to do this without causing an accident. And so he ended up slowing in behind and losing a lot of time. Now they're down to 5th and 7th respectively. Alexander Ericsson gets himself between them as Linus Prost and Peter Helmbro both got through on the way down in towards turn number 1. So those who have stayed out are suffering a little bit, although let's not forget, these guys coming through are not on newer tyres exactly. They've just got some more fuel on board to go to the stage, we know for sure.
As in the background, there's Ericsson making a move to get up inside the top 10, just getting himself past the 101 of Hogan Shot. So moves still being made. I haven't said that. The 101's got back past him as Ericsson has a bad run down the front straight and now into turn 1. Ericsson is actually going to slide past on the brakes. So a bit of ebbing and flowing in that battle. We work our way onto the exit of turn 1, sliding a bit wide there for Linus Broström up into third place, and also for I think that is the 12 machine of Marcus Hogman really pushing it close to the walls.
Yeah, Jesper Ericsson, unsurprisingly perhaps, is the best performing so far of those who pitted under the previous caution. Up inside the top 10, the only driver to break the top 10 so far of those who just stopped, as Alexander Ericsson gets himself now to the inside of the final corner. Jacques Su has recovered well after smacking the wall at the final corner. It's difficult to get these cars up to speed around here, especially through that flat final turn. He's a bit wide again there, but he was always going to lose the place anyway to Ericsson, although his run's not bad, and he's still fighting on in 5th place. In fact, he does get back through again.
Yeah, Ericsson is looking very feisty today. He's moving up and down, he's trying to break slipstream, and he's trying to make his way forward in this race very aggressively indeed. The 37 goes high, trying to go all the way around the outside of Gantz, who's just going backwards and backwards in this restart. Started P5, now down in towards P10. Even Hogan Shot is going to get the run as we come down this back straightaway in towards turn number 2. And it looks like the Rai sports car should have it up the inside there, but actually the 38 is strong on the outside and should just about hold on.
Against the last of the 5 drivers who haven't stopped yet in this race, don't forget, hanging on to a top 5 place from Hackenschott, who pitted under the first caution, then Edwin Forsand, who pitted under the second, and a whole queue behind as well as they make their way around the final corner. In the background, scraping along the wall there, I'm not sure who that was actually, but somebody was in the background, getting very, very close indeed to the wall at the final corner. Single filing towards turn number 1, and Gantz holds on for now.
Yeah, 3 seems to be a little bit of a tricky point, and I guess it is the lack of banking. The drivers pushing their way through there, and unfortunately just getting very tight as Broström is wandering about a bit. Oh, okay, thought he was having an issue, but he's still there in P3. For now, so seeing, of course, Robert Ericsson. He's got a teammate behind, the 111 of Anton Bradberg. But just sitting behind Ericsson, although I have said that Bradberg is sliding up towards the wall. They're in a very strong position as it stands, although the top 2 are starting to pull away.
Yeah, they are. 1 second, the gap between Tony Ubinen and Linus Broström. There is Jacques Su working away in 5th place. He's really stabilised things actually after hitting the wall out of turn 3. It'd be very easy, especially for a driver who didn't pit under the last caution, around those who just have, to really start to slide through the order after making a small error like that, but he's not let that happen to him. He's in fact turning the tide and putting pressure on Peter Helmbro in towards turn 1.
And Helmbro is having a strong point of the season, both here and also in the road course IndyCar series that will return next week, of course, but maybe not this time around, because the 77 has a slow exit of turn 1, and that allows the 34 Jacques Su up into 4th place as he goes down the inside of turn 2.
looks pretty easy in the end, surprisingly. Alexander Ericsson trying to follow through as well in towards turn 3. Can't do it though. Ericsson and Bratberg just in behind. Two teammates, of course, from the sponsors of this race. Very distinctive in their sort of yellowy, orangey shade. In 7th and 8th at the moment as they go over the line to complete lap 18 already, with almost a quarter of the way through already here, and this is the longest green flag run so far. We're settling in a bit now.
Yeah, everyone looks a little bit more calm, but I say that the 111 comes up high to try and block off Ericsson around the outside. They get close, they go into the wall, they make further contact, but somehow they'll continue on in this race. The 111 is definitely damaged though and losing a lot of momentum. Hopefully he can continue on.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't think. Well, I don't know who was really at fault there, to be honest. There's of course a responsibility on the car passing to make sure it's okay, and there was also a responsibility, of course, to give room if there's someone on the outside and not find yourself in the wall as a result. But we'll see what the two of them have got to say about that, because it certainly seems to have held back Bratberg, and he's seemingly got pretty big damage as well. In fact, I can see him turning quite far right to the left, excuse me, to actually go straight. It looks like that anyway from the tyres from out here.
Yeah, absolutely. The contact was in his rear right, so that would have pushed the front in and obviously bent that steering, unfortunately. And hopefully that is not too long of a repair, because you can very easily go laps down even at the longer 2.5 mile track that we have here today. So that leaves Jesper Eriksson up in P8. He's about half a second off Robert Eriksson, and he really is on the back of this battle, and he's certainly not really lost out too much despite hitting at that second pit stop. Of course, he was leading the way in P2, but this is still a solid position to be at this moment in time. We've got this whole gaggle of cars that is now lining up behind Linus Broström in third. Yeah,
they are for some reason. I mean, it's pretty surprising to see that Broström is at the head of this train, considering he was so punchy on the restart, especially the first restart of the race, making up positions early. Now he's into third place. All of a sudden, he seems to be just falling away a little bit, but maybe now that he's got decent track position back, he's decided to go back to default setting a little bit, which is to take things a little bit more cautiously on the tyres, as he often does, and just make sure he can make it to the stage before doing anything extravagant. I'm not entirely sure what his plan is from here, to be honest, but it is odd that he's raced his way to third so quickly and then backed off.
Yeah, maybe that's just the speed of the top two at this moment in time as well, as Ericsson once again half looking down the inside off the exit of turn 2, looking a bit racy there, and but they're definitely bunching up here, so there's definitely more speed from the drivers in behind. And I just wonder if Construction actually possibly has some damage that we were mentioning earlier as well, maybe just losing the tiniest bit of speed, although they do still have the leaders in their sights.
Yeah, of course, it's difficult to get out of sight round here, so that will remain the case, but just hanging out for now as Peter Helmbro makes his way down the inside of Schuh, goes pretty wide there around turn 1, and Helmbro will be in with a decent chance, although no slipstream out there, of course, no help at all. He'll have to tuck back into line again. He's going nowhere, and Alexander Eriksson will tuck into line as well. He doesn't decide to take advantage. Now it's really settling in. We're seeing some of the difficulties of this circuit. It can be tricky to pass around here.
Oh, in the background though, we've got cars in the wall. Gantz is involved in that one, and a couple of other drivers. We stay under green flag racing. Oh no, caution does eventually come out with that one, and Gantz really not having the stint that he would have wanted, and a couple of drivers unfortunately dropping down there. We go to the third caution of the day as we are now into the second half of the first stage.
And there really might be some pit stops now. This is what happened. It was Gantz on the outside. He was carted out there rather by whoever that was diving down his inside. Didn't quite give enough room, but then came to a stop. He didn't want to sort of go forward again, because otherwise he might have accelerated straight into someone, so he just locked it down and brought out the caution in the end.
So that was the 27, the green machine of Forsland, who has been involved in quite a few of the cautions we've had so far this season. Not all of them his fault, to be fair, but yeah, he's had an interesting start to the season, and unfortunately that is another one. They just got locked onto each other, but the issue is, as soon as Gantz is putting pressure on the rear right of Forsland. His car's naturally turning right, even though he wants to turn left. So no matter how much he turns the wheel, the car's always going to go to the right, unfortunately, and just spin him around and push him up into the wall. And that is going to be big damage for some more cars as we go under this caution period. So we really only have 18 cars left in the running so far.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really diminished field. It's a little bit smaller field to start with, actually, but really diminished now because of all the incidents. Only 18 remain on the lead lap already. That's more than a quarter down. But we will see now just how many are still remaining who haven't made pit stops at all. Christoph Gantz was one of them, of course. That is not going to remain the case. He's already in the pit lane, but who stays out here for stage points? Broström has decided to start, so has Ericsson. I'm not sure this is the right call. I think it'll be 4 tyres being taken down here for the likes of Oliver Bohlin and Tony Ubernen.
Yes, it depends how many stay out and how many drivers basically they need to overtake, but it looks like it's only going to be about 5, so that is going to be pretty slam dunk that whoever leads off pit road is probably going to be sliding past the likes of Linus Broström very quickly once you go back to green flag. I do agree with you, Ewan. I think this is definitely the point where you want to take that first set of tyres.
I'm slightly puzzled as to why the others haven't, to be honest with you, but we'll get into that in a moment. Bohlin wins the race on pit lane ahead of Uven, then Jacques Schou ahead of Peter Hombro, then Robert Ericsson, and they'll round out the top 10. I just don't understand why he'd stay out there, to be honest. Broström and Ericsson regained a decent bit of track position, and I know they've got the fuel to go to the end, but their tyres are going to be worse for wear by the end. I mean, they'll be about 3 seconds off the pace, or probably 2.5. I'm probably being dramatic. 2.5 seconds off the pace by the end of the stint. You're not going to be able to hang on for 16 more laps with tyres going off like that, especially in the face of new tyres for the likes of Oliver Bohlin, Tony Ubernen, and the rest of them, all of whom have made their way back out again. A slightly longer stop for Edwin Forsland and Cedric Hombom, though, as they repair some damage.
And even if it was just a second a lap, we've got long enough left in the stage that if it goes green, we have you know, the drivers who just pit literally 2 rows behind them on the restart, so they're going to be meters behind them. It's going to be a very, I'd say, easy one for them to get to the front, so I'm not sure if that is going to work. Maybe they're assuming there's going to be another caution very quickly, but then if there is a caution quickly, all those who stopped already, they're going to stay out, and then they're going to go to the back of the pack. So yeah. I think in both situations, this is the wrong choice.
I do as well. They come out in 14th, by the way, if they did that. So I don't know. I don't understand this call at all. And you know, there is a case to be made for keeping tyres back for later on. However, we're nearly a third of the way through the race now, so this is about the sort of time where you could be using your first set. I mean, you've already used your first set of tyres, of course, but we're well past a quarter distance now when we go back green again. You're not worried about overusing tyres, in my opinion, so I don't really understand why they haven't come in, but we'll see. Maybe they can put up some resistance on the restart here, I'm not sure.
There's a method to the madness sometimes, and it's so weird how the Bright Esports cars are going completely different as well. Bohlin stayed there earlier, we thought that wasn't going to work, but now it might actually give him the the stage win with how it's working out. It is so weird how these things ebb and flow, and that's why it's very difficult to make the right calls. But Broström generally plays the long game, and he's thinking potentially what's going to happen at some point later in the race. He could potentially save a set of tyres here effectively, depending on when the next cautions are. So we'll have to find out indeed. But the 71 is going to lead us to the green flag. And I wonder, Ewan, how many laps are we going to get this time?
Well, yeah, that is the big question. We've not been getting into double figures yet, so we could do with a nice green flag run. I know you mentioned earlier that what was it, 7 cautions maybe, and we'd be starting to come under time pressure. I personally reckon we could get 8 in, but let's not try. We'll see how close we could it. But I reckon we could squeeze 8 in and still go to laps here tonight. We will see on that, of course, and it would be close. But it's been a very stop-start race so far.
Certainly has. So that caution brought out by Forsland and Gantz brings us to lap 25 and the pace trap coming in once again, but it's all changed at the front. The top 4, top 5 have stayed out on the older tyres, and Oliver Bohlin already on that third row is on the fresher tyres, leading a train of cars as we go back to green flag racing. Just what is the tyre differential going to be between these drivers as Broström leads the way in towards turn number 1. He's got Ericsson pushing him as Ericsson might lose out there, and he certainly does. He goes down in towards third place. As in the background, we've got to see how quickly the 72 gets past these drivers.
Yeah, what is the tyre difference here? Because realistically, in terms of green flag laps, those who are still at the front have only done about 15 or so. So it's not actually that many green flag laps, but if the tyre difference is as big as we believe it to be, I think it could be quite detrimental. There you go, Bohlin right round the outside of Marcus Stiller through turn 2 and immediately onto the back of Magnus Hagman as well.
And for the lead, it looks like Ericsson up the inside of turn 3. Side by side they go. Broström holding it on the outside. Can the 24 push his teammate to hold on to the lead? It looks like they're going to do so. Ericsson's all on his own as we come down his front straightaway. And definitely a big push there from the 24. Bit of side draft to defend. And to the inside, Ericsson, he's looking so feisty today as he was looking on the back of his old teammate, Jesper Ericsson. He's moved over to more Right Esports. And can he get the run off turn 2?
He got very wide there, Linus Broström. He got that all wrong, and so Bohlin is going to be coming through now as well with the help of Jesper Ericsson, rather oddly. Bohlin is going to get to the inside of Broström because of that mistake into turn 1, and look at Bohlin down the inside of Ericsson as well. This is taking a matter of laps. We're only on the second lap, and Bohlin has already made up 3 places.
Yeah, these fresh tyres going to be good. If he gets to the front, he's going to run away with it. Down the inside for Marcus Hagman as well, who once again is coming to the front as we go 3 wide. In the middle is Linus Broström. Around the outside is Tony Uvernen into the wall slightly. They all come down. 4 wide we go as Jökull comes to the inside. Even 4 wide as Arisson's had a terrible run off turn 4. The tyre differential is coming to be a big factor here as up towards the front, Oliver Bohlin to the lead. Around the outside of turn 1 he goes. Almost contact between the 12 and the 71.
Oh my goodness! Helmbro trying to get to the outside of Broström, hugging the wall there as if to say, I'm going to stay over here. If you don't mind going through on the inside, then you're more than welcome to. And they do now. Sue is up to 3rd place, ahead of Magnus Hagman, who's actually got ahead of Broström in the meantime. The 12, excuse me, and the 71 are both on old tyres. That's where they're just veering at the moment. And through again on the inside. Uvernen still trying, this time round, defending the inside line. Goes Helmbro on Uvernen, and they make it through turn 3 okay in the end, but that was, for a couple of moments, a really close battle, including, as you say, a 4 wide moment down the front straight.
Yeah, this was the wrong call for the 2 Mobby Bright Esports, the 71 and the 24. They should have come in. If we stay green to the end of this stage, they are going to be absolutely freight trained. Look how many cars are around them. Only the top 10 get points. Arisson's already outside of the top 10. They're not going to be getting anything from this stage. Let's hope the strategy works out a bit better for them as the race continues on. Wallen's already got a 1 second lead to Jökull as well. Remember, Jökull did take the tyres as well. It's Ericsson and who else is it? Marcus Hagman. They are on the older tyres as it stands, but unfortunately they're just losing places.
Worth bearing something else in mind, this really does put into perspective a late race caution and how important keeping a set of tyres is going to be for a run to the line, because the tyres, even if they haven't done very much already, you would want new tyres on that last restart, put it that way. Bohlin, as you say, already out to a second's lead, but actually the more important gap, I believe, is to Ericsson. He's 1.7 behind already. Helmbro is on new tyres as well. He's going through on the inside line. So this is a bad call, I'm afraid, from those who stayed out on the circuit, and it looks like those 3 big names, Ericsson, Broström and Ericsson, are going to have to fight to even score any stage points at all.
But let's see how it works. As you say, maybe we get late cautions. Maybe that extra set of tyres is going to come back to the 71 and the 24. But you just don't know how the race is going to go. Oh, up into the wall, though. The 84 goes of Tony Uvernen. Somehow, Jesper Ericsson keeps it in the track. But that is big damage there from the 84 as he's lifting up that front nose.
That is a disaster for Uvernen. He was going really well, but he looked like he just went too deep down the inside of Ericsson there and was turned across the nose there. kind of in the same way that Forsund was turned across the nose of Gantz. Let's have a, oh, well, not quite in the same way, but you get what I mean. There he is down the inside, just didn't quite leave enough room, or Ericsson certainly wasn't expected to be up so high there.
Yes, so that was very similar to what we saw with Forsund and Gantz, but the contact was a little bit further back, so there's even more leverage to spin Uvinen up into the wall. So caution comes out. Is this the time for those who didn't stop last time to pit? But then they're just going to go to the back of the pack, and no one else is going to come in.
I'd be in here because they've got 4 laps on those tyres. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, and it isn't a lot. However, it's something, and so I would absolutely take that. I would take the new tyres and cut the losses, because the alternative is staying out and losing even more time and just doing what you just did all over again. When we go back green again, we'll probably have 6 laps to go in the stage. That's enough time to at least grab the minor points.
And remember, we say green flag under the at the stage as well. So it's not like they're fighting to then still get the free pit stop at the stage. No, we stay green flag, and therefore you have to think about the next phase of this race. And I think, yeah, that this is a pit stop time for them. It surely has to be that situation in the race, but you never know. Some would say they're committed, and by the time the pace car comes out, there's only going to be about 5 laps for them to hold on. But I think that's going to be 5 laps too far as they do go to the inside there. Hopefully, oh, no, Bohlin stays out. Bohlin has stayed out. He's going to try and do something on those older tyres.
No, yeah, I would stay out if I was Bohlin, for sure. I wouldn't have stayed out if I was Magnus Hagman, I've got to say, on those old tyres. He's going to fall back. Ericsson, Broström and Aronson are in, though, and I believe that's the right call. The worst it's going to be for them is 13th because of how many have come in down towards the back. So this, I believe, is the right call for them, although I do still think they made the wrong call last time round. They're correcting it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was getting confused with the Brady Sports cars there. But yes, it's good that Aronson and the 71 have come in. It doesn't make sense for anyone really to pit if they pitted on that previous caution, but they are going to be a long way back, aren't they? They are going to be a long way back. P15 at best for those drivers. Marcus Hogman staying out, and as you're mentioning, Ewan, I think that's a bright, big call. But for someone who's got quite a few of his bonus points from quite a few of the stage points so far this season, I think it's at least worth a try.
I think so. I think all 3 of them could get the minor points, to be honest. I think Bohlin is big favourite now for the stage and the playoff point that goes with it, of course. But what about those points a bit further behind? Bohlin has got a lot of, as a proportion of his overall points, I think Bohlin has got the biggest percentage of stage points, if you like, making up his overall points, if that makes any sense. He's got 26 so far in the 6 races we've had so far. That's nearly 50% of the points it's possible to pick up at the stage. He's been very, very strong on the stages, but less so at the end of the race. But he hasn't got a win yet at a stage. I wonder whether this could be the first. I think he's favourite to take it, personally. We'll see if he does in a few moments' time. But the right call for him to stay out, and indeed the right call during the 3rd caution as well to pit in. The 3 who we were just talking about pitting in this time round are rather undoing a mistake, really, rather than making a right call now.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. And what are we going to see in these 5 laps that we're going to get to the end? Well, it's actually going to be 6, isn't it, by the time we get to the end of this one? So it's going to be 6 laps to the end of the stage, and we are seeing obviously some differences now in the tyres. So everyone in the top 12 is on 9-lap old tyres, apart from Marcus Hogman, the light blue car there, second on the outside row. He's on 27-lap old tyres. He's the oldest tyres in the field. Then everyone from P13 downwards has just stopped. So there's a little bit of a gap in the tyres, as you said, Ewan. Is it going to be enough to get back up and grab some stage points?
Yeah, 18 still on the lead lap now, with Tony Uvinen making repairs to his car and still remaining at the very back of the lead lap here, by the way. So there's plenty who are going to be fighting for the stage point here. Anton Bratberg is just going to be adrift by the time we dealing out stage points. However, he's only 1 lap down at the moment. He's got no rivals 1 lap down. He could get the free pass back onto the lead lap. He could be back in the game by the time we're past the stage and on that run to the end, of course. Still 47 laps left once we have crossed the stage here. And as he mentioned earlier, in case you've not been with us this season, we don't have a caution at the stage. We continue on green flag, which I think is the better way to do it, personally. We're going to race past these stage points in 7 laps time once we go green.
Yeah, what it does is it means the strategy goes beyond the stage. It's not, oh, let's do our strategy, get to the stage, we get caution, get the new tyres back on. It is, no, you've got to think actually towards the end of the race, because we've still got 50 odd laps to go, and therefore we can't make it on fuel, but there's still something that you need to think about. The pace truck comes in, and Oliver Bohlin is going to get us underway once more as we go back to green flag racing. The oddly sweet 3-turn oval by Team Superior gets underway once more, and Oliver Bohlin has a decent start. Yorkshire is trying to follow him in towards turn 1 up the inside. Actually, for Peter Helmroth, looks like 3rd place is a good place to be on these restarts. Almost every time they've got down the inside and worked their way up into 2nd place, and this time is the exact same, as Helmroth will cut up there Yorkshire and up into 2nd.
Yeah, maybe too aggressively though, because Shu has just sort of circumvented that a little bit and gone back down the inside again. He's got a better run as well. He would try to do a bit of a slide job there, Helmroth, and just get up ahead of Shu, but actually didn't really work. And so through goes the 34 back into 2nd place. Watch out for Magnus Hagman as well. Marcus Hagman, I should say, in 4th place, I should say. He has not changed tyres all day, and he's still holding on in the top 5. But now Daniel Holmer gets down the inside, and surely a few more are going to in the next few moments as well.
Yeah, oh god, some drivers getting so close to the wall as loads of drivers coming down to the inside. There might be the 71 Elias Brewstrom as he's trying to avoid some contact there. We're going side by side in towards turn 1 as we see Tademo, I should say, with the 101 Hocken shot on his outside. Forsen, who's involved in one of those wrecks, but he's still back up into P10, going as we still remain just about 3 wide. Into the wall we go for Hocken shot as well. Driver still wiggling around. Takes them a while to get comfortable and calm in these stints. Down the inside is going to be Ericsson. Yes, but Ericsson, a double move it might be. 3 wide we go through turn 2, but just look how much pace he's got.
Yeah, well, I said he might mop up the lower points, but actually he's got a decent chance of getting pretty decent stage points, actually, because he's made such a good restart. Oh, dear! Already up to 8th place as Schott and Tidemo rather sabotage one another, and coming through on the inside line, Edwin Forsen will take advantage along with Linus Prostrom.
3 wide as we come across the stripe. The 71 should have that move down the inside, and yes, I think we are seeing even just these 8-lap difference on tyres is going to be enough. Even with most of those laps being under caution, it's crazy how quickly the tyres drop off in this Xfinity car that we're using this season, and really been a big change from the next gen that we had in the previous year. But it's certainly been a welcome change. In fact, having this tyre where the drivers have to work out the stints and their strategy so much more.
Yeah, exactly. It's been fantastic to watch, and we're seeing that strategy and tyre wear come into it again. Only 4 laps done under green on those tyres for those who pitted under caution number 3 of this race, which I still believe has been the right call from today's race. However, it is still making a difference pitting in at the later end here, and as I mentioned earlier, this is really saying to me, leave a set of tyres back for a caution in the final 10 laps of this race, because if there is one, you're going to need tyres because someone else will have them and you won't be able to defend yourself from them. Look at the way that Ericsson is getting down the inside of the other Ericsson and Marcus Hagman as well here on the way towards turn 2. He's going to be through here. Hagman, of course, on 37-lap old tyres at the end of this one. Ericsson has just put some new ones on. That's the difference.
And Hagman did manage to keep in that position for a while, so the top 4 have gone away. But I don't think there's going to be any chasing down, even for Jesper Ericsson, by the time we get to the end of the stage. But as ever, we remained under that green flag conditions at the stage, so we're just getting to 4 laps remaining. Let's see how this one works out. We're going 3 wide, almost 4 wide momentarily on the exit of turn 3. Hagman surely is going to be losing the place to Robert Ericsson, but look at the drivers racing up in behind. How many of them want to try and overtake here in towards turn 1 with 3 wide? Brostrom down that inside, trying to make a move on his teammate Hocken. He's done that, but around the outside also comes Wildeboer, who's having a good run this race.
He certainly is. Robert Ericsson still stays at the front of the group in 6th place, and Hagman very soon is going to be outside the top 10, I think, here. Down the inside goes Broström. He should be through. Hackenshock will try and follow through, surely at turn 2 as well. There he goes to the inside. Well, no, if he doesn't, then Wildeboer will. Oh, not quite. He slows up right in front of those in behind, and it's Forsland, one of those who has to avoid, along with the likes of Marcus Stiller and Sebastian Tinamo. Again 3 wide, nearly 4 wide into turn 3.
These guys are absolutely crazy. We've got the 2 clutch clubs, we've of course got the Simrace Sweden, and then we have Aracingligan from Mobby Bright Esports. 3 teams going at it, 5 cars in 1 corner. They somehow survive, but it looks good actually for Marcus Stiller, who's actually now being pushed by his teammate. Afterwards, Marcus Hogman ahead, who as we go to lap 39, I think he's going to lose out on these playoff and the stage points, I should say, as we have just about 5 miles left in this 40 lap opening stage here. The top 4 are looking good. Oliver Bohlin holding out, but it's this top 10 battle for these final points that we need to focus on.
It certainly is. And meanwhile, up front, Linus Broström just gets past to Robert Ericsson. This is at the very front of this group, by the way, if we can all still call it all one thing again. Broström looks like he's going to get 5 points for his troubles at the stage, with Ericsson getting 6. That'll bring the overall points margin between the two, by the way, down to 13, but still decent pickup from both of them, considering where they started. Can Ericsson, as they make their way onto the final lap of this first stage now, can he pick up the minor points, or can Marcus Hagman hang on for a very precious point indeed?
2.5 miles remain to the first stage, the only stage of the day. Up the inside is going to be for Aracingligan in the 24. Harmon on those older tyres can do nothing, but he is going to be trying to stay. He actually doesn't have too much fuel left in either. Of course, he had the cautions, but he won't have too much fuel. But he's actually going to be dropping down another place as the 1:38 of Tademo gets up the inside, and that'll be, unfortunately, definitely no points for Marcus Hogman, who's been trying so hard on that strategy. Forson's going to come up his inside as well. But as we come out of the third and final corner here at Pocono, it's going to be Oliver Bohlin leading the way. He got past Ericsson earlier on, and the strategy has worked out in his favour. Oliver Bohlin will be winning the stage here as we continue on. Hagman doesn't actually make it to the stage. He has to come down pit road just meters before the line.
Well, I don't think he couldn't make it, but he just thought I might as well. I'm not scoring any points by staying out, as we have a look now at the stage winner. There it is, confirmed. Oliver Bohlin is our 6th different stage winner in 7 races. The only driver to double up has been Marcus Hagman so far, who we just saw come into pit lane, and that could be still a decent call. Don't forget, this circuit's so long that he won't lose a lap, and unlike Talladega and Daytona, he won't really have any disadvantage to running around on his own. In fact, he might even have an advantage because of it.
The only thing is, he can't get to the end of the race on fuel, whereas by the time all these drivers on track come and pit for fuel, they probably can get to the end, so you might need an extra pit stop and some cautions in with that. God, that's Ericsson in P4. He's got past, obviously, Holmer there, but he's now trying to just go even more crazy up the inside, as he's really pushing on those slightly newer tyres, but they're actually working to really good effect.
They really are, yeah. He pitted in, by the way, with still 55 laps to go, so you're right, he can make it to the end on one more stop, as can everybody else, even those who pitted 8 laps earlier under the 3rd caution of the race. They can still make it home on one more. So you're right, Hagman probably does require another caution for everything to be brought back together again, but considering we are not still having completed a 10-lap green flag run, I think the odds are stacked in his favour at the moment. We'll see how it pans out, though, over the course of the next 45 laps still remaining. Ericsson looks up the inside of Helmbro there at turn 3, can't quite do it, as he's on the apron basically through there.
Certainly is. I guess he's got so much tyre grip compared to the others. They can actually bring it down and make that apex, but these guys, they're really starting to push out towards front. Look how sort of splintered we've got the pack. We were staying very close. There's a big dive from the 77 up the inside. Can he get past Yoka in turn 1 here? No, the 34, that midline actually seems to work quite well for the momentum as you work your way to the exit of the corner, and Helmbro is going to have to pull back in, but in behind we are seeing down the inside, yes, but Ericsson get the run on both of them. He went up high, he came down low. Can he get a double move here in towards turn 2? No, just 1 as Helmbro drops back.
Well, he is there. I thought he was there, and he was. Jock Shu certainly thought so, and he ran wide through turn 2 into the wall. In the inside goes Helbro as well. He's going to try and follow through now on the inside line. Sue is on the outside. He's going to regain that place again and not scrape the wall. So at least he holds on to third, but Jesper Ericsson's up to second. And very shortly, he might be leading this race all over again.
Yeah, these races swap around so quickly. It's pretty crazy. I thought Bohlin was looking solid for this mid part of the race, but actually Jesper Ericsson is coming in very, very fast. Of course, he got the pole position. We know he's got the speed in general with how fast he's been in the last year and a half in this league, but he is just showing his class today as it's really working out well from in the background. We're getting a Håkan shot. Marcus Stiller having a bit of a wiggle through turn number 1 as well, but I think they're all good as they came out onto the back straight. Yeah, Håkan unfortunately just losing the momentum and will have to sit in, but this is a lot better from the Clutch Club cars as they got 2 cars there around the top 10. Marcus Stiller from the back of the grid up to P9.
Peter Helbro getting through on Yokshu as well for third place, so that's another change inside the top 10 ongoing here. By the way, we haven't checked in with Marcus Hagman for a while. He did indeed come out still on the lead lap. He's 41 seconds off the overall lead, but last time around he was quickest driver on the circuit by 8/10 of a second. I know Jesper Ericsson, the next closest, was passing people, but that is got to be of concern for everybody else. If this race stays green long enough for everyone else to have to come into pit lane, Hagman could suddenly find himself out in front of all of them.
Oh, absolutely. The pace is quite something as Ericsson, a late dive to the inside. I don't think there's going to be much fighting here from Oliver Bohlin. He knows the situation, and look how much more speed he's got. Ericsson at this point of the race, he is going to pull away. As long as we stay under green flag racing, he should have this middle part of the race covered. Although, as you say, Jürgen, we might need to look at the pace compared to Marcus Hagman, as that gap is really going to come towards him. The only thing you have to remember, though, is Hagman has one stop to go like everyone else, and he's in P18, so he basically needs to gain 40 seconds that he's off the lead.
Yeah, this is true, but if there's a caution timed exactly right, then he could be in the money. He probably could do without one now. That would not really help him, but in about 20 laps time or so, if one could come out very well timed, then that would go down very well with him, I would imagine, as soon as Proston makes his way down the inside of Daniel Homer. This, by the way, is the longest green flag run of this race now. We've completed 12 laps under green so far, and we've also completed 2,000 kilometres this season, just crossed a couple of laps ago.
Wow, that's the numbers add up very quickly as the laps rock off. Indeed, as we're now, of course, on to round 7 of the season. We have a very long calendar, 19 races, so still 12 to go after this one to find our champion. But everyone is fighting hard to get that win, the all-important win that will lock them into the playoffs. But so far, Jesper Ericsson, he's already got 2 of them, so he doesn't really need this victory, but he is leading by a second.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a decent lead for him, a comfortable position to be in, and a slight surprise actually that he's going this hard. To me anyway, it's a slight surprise, but anyway, I guess he doesn't really do anything other than that. Ericsson, of course, does have a point in racing in these. I know that everyone says that when you're in the playoffs, your season's sort of over until they begin. It's not entirely true, because you do work to gain playoff points, which you can get by winning stages or winning races. Ericsson's already got 2. So if we started the playoffs next round, he would have the most points to begin with, if you see what I mean. It wouldn't be a huge advantage over the rest, not unassailable by any means, but it's just that little nose in front as you go into the round of 15.
And that is all important. However, it didn't really work out in the end for him last season, as he won the regular season championship, but then had a disastrous playoffs, really, and he still was there in the championship 5 at the end, but it was, of course, Michael Haflidsson in the 81 machine who was the champion last season, pipping it from Jesper Ericsson, who really probably could have and should have won it on the points, but that's not how the playoff system works. And Michael certainly had a great run in that playoffs, winning 3 of those races. Side by side we go with the Sim Race Sweden Academy cars. Bohlin on the outside, still with damage on that car. Wildeberg on the inside. This is for P12, as they still remain side by side, the 2 teammates, but Wildeberg gets through.
He does. Nicely through on the inside line, and benefiting from that just in the background and down the inside as we go up front here to Brostrom and Shu. They will go side by side actually through to turn 3 as well. So this is all stemming from second place. Oliver Wallen's been grabbed in now by Peter Halbro and Yokshu, as well as Linus Broström as well, who rather unsurprisingly is gaining time because of his new tyres. There goes Halbro looking up the inside of Bohlin, but can't quite do it, and sort of stops in front of Broström, who now can't pass the 34 quite as easily.
Indeed, this is working out to be a very tight battle. As look at this from Linus Broström, just boxing in the 34 there, keeps him up high to not be able to get past the 77. They slide their way through turn number 2. We've seen contact here already. There's caused cautions. The 34 does go into the wall. Broström comes out low to give him some space, and the 34 goes through, but that was very tight.
Certainly was. They make it out the other side in the end, but they're continuing to lose time to the leader, and that's not much of a concern, I don't think, to one in Halbro and Shu, but I think it should be on the mind of Linus Broström at the moment. You know that he doesn't really take things too seriously at this end of the race. It's much more at the end where he does come flying in, but he's giving himself a mountain to climb now. 3.2 seconds the gap. He needs to find his way past Shu, really. Down the inside he goes. Can he clear him here? Can he get up into the high side? Just about. He can squeeze in. So up to 4th he goes, and he can start to get a bit closer to Ericsson, but that gap is still increasing.
Yeah, what a tight battle this is up towards the front, and these positions do mean something. So we have 37 laps to go in this race, and that is of course getting to the point where we can get fuel to the end. So any sort of pit stop now, maybe a caution correctly timed, and you will see drivers thinking at least about going to the end of this race. We have Ericsson and Knell in the pit lane as it stands, but obviously that is from previous damage, and we still have 18 cars running out there, 17 on the lead lap.
Yeah, Ericsson was on the lead lap though, wasn't he? So he's maybe picked up damage somewhere around by scraping the wall, because this pit stop's quite long for him. As you say, Knell certainly is having a longer stop because of previous damage, and that much is true, but for Robert Ericsson it looks more recent than that, and so we are one down in terms of those on the lead lap. And it's no longer Marcus Hagman, actually, who's the first driver, or the last driver I should say, on the lead lap. He's actually just past Tony Ubinen. That's the speed at which he's catching. 35.5 seconds. He would be the leader when everyone pits here. He is going to be the leader.
Absolutely. Is it going to work out in the long run? Let's see. So we now have Halbro in second place, Bohlin in third. He's got his teammate, of course, Linus Broström, who is getting the run off turn number 4. Is it going to be enough to have a move down into turn 1? It looks like he's at least thinking about it. How much of the teammates communicating? I'm sure they know exactly what is going to happen here in turn 1, and Bohlin is not going to battle that one. So the drivers with less tyres are getting to the front now. Halbro and Bohlin are on the same age tyres as the Yokushu, but the 71 and Ericsson as well, they're on slightly newer tyres, and they're now going to be 1-2 in probably another lap or two's time.
That looks like it as they make their way into turn 2. Broström with a slightly higher line there. It's going to start to really probe the back of Peter Halbro here and see where he can make this move. He's lost a few more tenths of a second making these passes. 35 laps to go, and Jesper Ericsson is 3.5 seconds ahead of Broström, who would require a tenth a lap at least now to try and close back into Ericsson. It's a really difficult thing to do, but we are quite a long way into a green flag run now, so the gaps are naturally going to get bigger. Make way into turn 1. Broström has so far shown no signs that he's getting anywhere near.
And looking at the lap times as well, I mean, some of those drivers, I mean, they're getting a little bit too close to 3 seconds off the pace, off their very best lap time. So the pace really has dropped off here. But let's see if they're going to continue on for a bit longer. I mean, Peter Halbro, he's on 29 laps on this stint, so maybe another 5 laps or so, and he's going to have to come in, but then he's going to have another 30-odd lap stint to the end. So it is going to be some longer stints if we remain green flag, and that is just going to bring the tyre wear back into it. And those who can hold on to their tyres a little bit better are going to be good. That is a bit high in the background for Oliver Bohlin, who's really starting to struggle.
Yeah, he is a bit, and you just wonder whether he went out a bit too hard before the stage to try and get those points. As Daniel Holmer pits in, he knows that he can make it now on fuel, and so he's pitting in for tyres as well. Will that start a bit of a avalanche of pit stops? I suspect it might do, because they're 30 laps old now, those tyres. on the number 79. I know they haven't been green flagged the whole way. Just over 20 laps of green flag running, but it's about 30 overall, and so it's got to be pit stop time surely now. Once someone pits in, normally that's it for everyone else as well.
Yes, you don't want to be staying out on older tyres. We've seen how badly that that can work in this series. The tyres, as we mentioned today, they really drop off. And it's a big factor, big change to this year's championship. And at the moment, it's working out for Ericsson, who's holding on to that 3-second lead. But Peter Helmbro, on those older tyres, is actually matching him close enough. He was actually faster on that previous lap. And what we're saying this time around, though, he lost the tenths this time. But he's close enough that he's actually not doing too badly. So I think the driver can have some influence in this, even though the tyres do drop off fairly quickly.
Yeah, they are really having a difficult day, the tyres, it looks like, around here. It's probably, I can't remember the last time they were this abrasive, to be honest, and this amount of time loss. But anyway, they are really having a big effect on today's race. We'll see over the course of the remainder here just whether there is a late call to be made about whether to take tyres or not, and so on. In a late caution, that could be a pretty slam dunk call as we have a look at Linus Broström go up the inside of Peter Helmbro. He's up to second place now.
As Bohlin and Shu having their battle in the background as well. Helmbro does come down pit road, up into the wall. That is getting for Oliver Bohlin. He's going to lose some time. Jesper Eriksson from the lead also coming down pit road. Still, 32, 33 laps to go. And they are going to have a long run to the end if it remains green flag. Tademo Woodaba also in pit road.
Eriksson does not want to be undercut, does he? He has not been out on those tyres for very long at all, but he's decided to come in. I certainly would have left that another couple of laps if I was him, but anyway, he's decided to pit in now, and they're all in for their penultimate set of tyres. They will only have one more to go on to at the end of this, but that would be true for everybody here, because everyone is making their second stop of the day, including those on slightly wacky strategies like Marcus Hagman. We'll see whether Hagman gets ahead of Eriksson, and he does. Hagman may well lead some more laps of this race.
And if we go a little bit longer and we get a caution, this could really actually work out quite nicely for him. We'll have to find out, but maybe the 12 is coming back into it after missing out at the stage. He's then committed to this strategy and is trying to make it work in some way. So lap 57 of 87, Linus Broström leads from Yokushu by 2 seconds now. He's pulled away on those slightly newer tyres, but they're getting massively undercut here by Jesper Eriksson. And actually, to be honest, Eriksson isn't as far behind Marcus Hagman as I was expecting, but let's see if this one works out. Drivers starting to slide around now as they got one of the superior cars just letting through. That's Connie Lundell a lap down.
Yeah, well, many laps down after getting involved in that big smash at turn 2 earlier on. Eriksson looking at the inside of Shu there, but couldn't quite do it. And closing in, look at that, Bohlin right on the back of Eriksson, but knows that he's just lost a place basically, so it's not really worth coming through back on the inside again at turn 3, which just cost everybody some more time, and so they decide to leave it for the moment. Is Bohlin coming in? No, he's just giving himself a little bit of space up to those two up in front. As you say, Eriksson is only a second behind Hagman, and given the fact that the top 9 are staying out and look like they will do for some time, Hagman probably won't cycle through into the lead again, but he is the leader of those who've pitted in this cycle anyway.
As the 24 goes down the inside of the 34 and gets up into second place as it stands. And that is working out rather nicely from Eriksson. So, yeah, Eriksson basically is on the same strategy as Linus Broström. So they got the fresher tyres than the likes behind. But now, of course, they are getting undercut by Eriksson, but the longer they stay out, when they do make their pit stop, they're then going to have the tyre advantage themselves to the end of the race. So it is going to flip-flop. It depends how much time they lose here compared to how much they're going to gain later on. What is going to be the better one? I guess track position is always good, but new tyres at the end is something that everyone will pray for.
Yeah, the problem is, though, when you're staying out like this, Eriksson's gaining more time per lap than you're going to gain when you come out on newer tyres later on. And of course, the longer you leave it, the less laps you're going to have to gain that time as well. So you're in a really difficult place of having to strike a real balance here. You want to minimise the amount of laps that Eriksson gains on those big laps, i.e. these ones here. Linus Broström last time round did a 56, for example. Eriksson did a 54. You want to minimise these laps. However, the the earlier you go, the less advantage you're going to have with more time remaining. How does that match up with leaving it late and putting newer tyres on so you gain more each lap, but you've got less laps to gain in? It's a very difficult conundrum to solve and a very difficult balance to strike, and I personally think they should not bother trying and come in with Ericsson, but anyway, it's too late for that.
Yes, they're committed now, and it's been a number of laps. It doesn't look like they're coming in this time, at least from what we've seen from Linus Broström. So they are staying out, and they're trying to make something happen. I wonder just what it's going to be. 27 laps to go. I mean, this is still quite far. This is basically the stint length that they are now. So they're about half and half of where they made their previous pit stop to the end of the race, and that's always a good marker. And actually, would a pit stop actually help them? Because I guess they would bunch back up first before coming in. So it might actually work out in their favour because they're still going to be behind either way. And I guess that might make it ever so slightly easier as we have a few drivers down pit road. Forsen, Broström, Pfeffer and Hagman.
Yes. Hagman's in, that's a surprise, but he's, I suppose, looking to just match himself up with everybody else at the moment, and he's done that pretty well. He's done the, sort of the best of that overcut world, if you like, where he's stayed out for almost as long as he can stomach here, and now he's pitting in with them. He's sort of minimising the time loss that he'll have now because he's on the same life of tyres as those who will be around him. So it's not going to be anything like a race-winning position for him, but he is going to be around some people he might fancy his chances to overtake, like Patrick Pfeffer in the 200, who's just out ahead of him there in the white and black.
Yes, so this is, of course, Hagman effectively was leading their net for a second ahead of Jesper Eriksson, but now he's actually made a pit stop and he's the same situation as everyone to the end of the race now. So this is his actual position from where he is. So in some ways it hasn't worked out because he is in P17, but let's see what he can do on the strategy to the end. As Helmbro is having a battle, he's got Dan Homer that he's going up the inside. The 79 goes way too high and that position is gone.
They are battling effectively for the second position of those who have already stopped. I think it has worked for Hagman, to be honest, because we saw earlier on he was about 50 seconds off the lead. He's a lot closer than that now. Effectively what he's done is he's gained on every single lap that he's had those new tyres on, and he's sort of banked that time effectively by coming in with those around him. So he's made a pretty good call in my opinion, and he will now be on even footing with everybody else. Schuh, Bohlin, Stiller and Schott come in this time round. Just two left, Broström and Ericsson out on the circuit.
Indeed, this is the pit stop time, it seems, and the Molby Bright Sports teammates stay out trying to go as long as they can and have some fresher tyres to the end of the race, but they're going to be undercut massively by all of these drivers around them. So it's a very tricky one as we get to 25 laps remaining in this race. We remain green flag racing as it has been for quite some time now. This is working out to be the longest green flag stretch of the race so far, and that is really bringing this strategy and green flag pit stops into play.
Yeah, it certainly is. The first green flag stops of the day and the only ones as well. If there is not another caution, we won't see anybody in again here as Marcus Stiller makes his way back out ahead of Oliver Bohlin. They are a few positions behind where they were before. Wildeboer will have gotten ahead of them, and Tidemo, Homer, Helmbro and Ericsson are ahead of all of Schuh there, some of whom weren't before. So you can see the benefits of the undercut, but now they're hoping that the older tyres from those at the front of the field are really going to start to wear away and they can slowly bring that gap back down again. But look at the time loss they've got here. Stiller, for example, is about, what, 7 seconds behind Tidemo? How's he going to gain 7 seconds in 25 laps? I don't see him, well, I suppose, what's that, quarter of a second a lap, I suppose? Maybe that's possible, but it's difficult the longer you leave it here.
Indeed, and I guess we'll just have to see how the balance works out as Broström does come in. Ericsson stays out, interestingly, so the teammates go slightly different strategies. This is lap 31 and 32 of their stints, so they have gone a fairly long way. And it's not like they're cutting it short, like we saw Marcus Hagman just doing a 19-lap run. Down the inside is going to be for Oliver Bohlin on Marcus Stiller, as he's obviously lost out a lot of time to the drivers that he was batting up ahead, you know, Jochen Schuh, then Dan Homer, etc. But let's see where Linus Broström is going to come out in regards to them. Of course, he'll be behind as well. They will be gaining because Jesper Eriksson, he's already been out there for 8 laps, which is the gap, the tyre differential that we saw earlier, that was actually quite effective.
Yeah, but look at the gap that Brostrom's got. It's over 15 seconds. He's not going to make up 15 seconds in barely less amount of laps. You know, he's going to need nearly a second a lap, and I don't think that's going to be possible on nearly 10-lap old tyres. I think something like 3/4 of a second a lap might be possible, but he needs more than that. Alexander Ericsson comes in now as well, so the field will be cleansed effectively, and Ericsson will lead by some margin.
Yes, he is. I think Ericsson has done the strategy for how the race has played out so far. Well, what is left to be determined in this race in the final 20-odd laps? That is the next thing. The next thing to find out. Ericsson coming down pit road. That's a big slide for the 71. Can he catch it? No, he can't. He's on those fresher tyres, and he saves it out of the pit wall just about. We stay under green flag. No, we don't. Caution comes out as Ericsson is down pit road, and Jesper Ericsson, of course, has already made his pit stop. How is this going to affect the strategy at all? Is anyone going to try and get fresh tyres to the end of the race, or are they going to bank their track position?
I think Ericsson will come in from the lead, to be honest with you, and I think the top 4 will all be in. The likes of Shu, Bohlin still a shot, and those behind might well stay out because they have not long been into the pit lane. But surely, if you're staying out on your Ericsson, you'll get gobbled up on a new restart.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to think. That would be their final set of tyres as well, wouldn't it? Yeah. So they would have to have a tough choice, because if we get to the end of the race, there's another caution that could be very important indeed. But as the drivers just slow down for a second, we'll use this time to take a few messages from our partners. And welcome back to the tricky triangle as we are under caution. It's myself, Cameron, Roger, Ewan Leary alongside me, and Hugo of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you through round 7 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Oval Series. It is the oddly sweet 3-turn oval by Team Superior, and we have had an interesting sequence of events over the last couple of rounds. of laps, I should say. As we have this caution, we had the top 4 all come into the pit lane. That was Ericsson, Helmbro, Holmer, and Marcus Hogman stay out there to demo as well. They have all gone down outside of the top 10, but they have slightly fresher tyres by about 5 to 10 laps of the drivers who have stayed out at the front. So now Yokoshu leading, and he's got Timo Wildeber, who's having a great race, up in second place. And it is now 20 laps, or just under, to the end of this race, Ewan, and we have an interesting flip-flop. We thought Jesper, if it stayed green to the end, was going to have this one covered. Now he's got some work to do.
Yeah, I think it wasn't because they needed new tyres, those guys further back. It's because their old ones were too old, if you see what I mean. And the others would have been just on 2 newer tyres. They would have been eaten alive. So they've taken a bit of a risk, those at the back, because they have, of course, used their final set with still 19 to go at the end of this one. So it is a bit of a risk, but I don't think they had much choice other than to come into pit lane. The only slightly odd calls were those who still have damage to repair, because Edwin Forsand, Cedric Holm, Antonio Ubernen all came in for minutes-long pit stops again. They're still suffering with damage down towards the back, so those were the only ones surprising. Look for Ericsson, Helmbro, Holmer, Tidemo, and Hagman especially on this restart, because they are going to be looking to fly through the field. But those who are out there currently ahead of them aren't on that much older tyres. That's going to be the real difficulty for them. And of course, they've got a spare set to use later. If there's another caution, they're in a pretty strong position.
They certainly are, and I think that's the biggest factor, Ewan, is not that they have the track position now, but it's the fact they also have that fresher tyres. And you'd assume in the next 20 laps we're going to get another caution. But one thing I'm also thinking of is the race time might get a bit close with the amount of cautions that we are having today. So that's a factor to keep in the back of your mind as we come in towards the final 19 laps of this race. And we have Yokoshu leading the way with Wildeber on his outside, but what a start there is for the 34. And Oliver Bohlin is already going to be getting through as we come down the front straight away. Nice easy restart there as we go back to green flag racing. And how much is the fresher tyres going to work out for those who just pit outside of the top 10? Oliver Bohlin up the inside as well, going to get 2 places from 3rd to 1st as we come on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, let's not forget about the differences that there are inside the top 9. Oh, spin in the background for Tidemo, I think it is. And immediately there is a caution. It is indeed Sebastian Tidemo, who's spun out of turn number 1. And he's back into, well, I'm not sure he grabbed the wall, but he's certainly ruined his new tyres.
That has to be one of the shortest green flag runs that we've had. Just 1 corner. So he's got Forsen and Hagman on his inside. He just loses the rear end ever so slightly, overcorrects, saves the car. Fortunately, no one else involved. Does boot the wall a little bit, so he's going to have some front end damage on that one. And for a driver who was gifted such an amazing strategy option there, unfortunately just loses the rear end, can't save it. And that is going to be his day done, I would assume, in terms of the top points.
Possibly, yeah. It's the second time he's caused a caution this season, going back to Bristol. Of course, at the start of the season, where he also had a sort of solo spin. On that occasion, though, it caused a bit of a pile-up with people not being able to avoid him. This occasion, thankfully, nobody has been involved, which is good to see. But it was a real good position for him to be in. That's really gone away very, very quickly indeed. That's a green flag run lasting exactly 0 laps. First time that's happened since Talladega and the penultimate restart of that race. We will see, hopefully, a better restart next time round, because, as I think you mentioned a few moments ago, we are getting relatively close to being timed out of this race.
Indeed. So lap 70 of 87, and it is an interesting one if we start getting these cautions. We did say it was 7 cautions, and you're saying there may be 8 that we could just squeeze in. Is it 6 now that we're on
6 now? Yeah, this is 6. So that is the same amount we had at Homestead, or of course 1 more than we had at Homestead. Excuse me. This is the most now we've had since Bristol. I'm starting to lose count indeed with so many here today. We had a nice green flag run going there in the middle of the race, but it looks like that might be very much alone in terms of long green flag runs. It's been a difficult race. We see pit stops here.
No. Yeah, no, maybe. Yes, someone. Who is that? That's Marcus Stiller comes in, the 013 machine. And Pfeffer joins him. I believe that's his teammate. Brewster and Bratberg come in. Of course, Uvenen is still down pit road as well. So, I would wait. If you have just one set of tyres left, I would wait. I think in the last 10 laps, there's going to be another one. So you might as well keep it for then. And then at least you'll have even more of an advantage to the drivers who stay out.
Yeah, I would have stayed out as well, personally. Left it for a later stop, but there you go. It has shown, actually, that restart, even though it was brief, that Jesper Eriksson can indeed make up some places very, very quickly indeed. He's now up to 5th because of some of those pit stops up ahead of him, but also because of overtakes made at the time. He's shown that even 10 laps newer tyres there are absolutely worth it. And if there is another caution with about 10 to go, a lot of the drivers will be on 10, 15 lap old tyres at that point already. So keeping a set of tyres set back, as I said earlier, very crucial. And some of them have done that. We'll see whether they get the chance to use them in another caution later.
Yeah, because it's also one of those things, if we do go green to the end, you don't want to then be overtaken by those who have just stopped and then regret that you didn't take the new tyres. So it's a tricky one, but I would assume, with how it's going to go, that we are going to look at least getting one more caution today. It's been not necessarily caution filled, but there's been enough cautions that you can count on it. It's a very tricky track here, Ewan, isn't it? The drivers haven't really settled in that much. We did get that green flag pit stop in the middle of the race, but it seems like everyone is just struggling, especially with the amount of bumps we're seeing on the exit of turn 1 and turn 3.
Yeah, we've had a weird flip-flop of a race today, because we went through the first 4 runs of this race without a run going 10 laps even. 9 was the record when we'd gotten to, about 20, 30 laps in. I can't remember what stage we were at, but we were quite a long way in when 9 laps was our record. Then finally we got a nice green flag run of 29 laps in for the 5th run of this race. That's the longest run within a race, so it's starting and indeed finishing inside the same race that we've had 3rd biggest of the season. So that was a good sign, and now we've got back to this stop-start business again, where as I just said, we had no laps completed and just 1 corner completed on that restart. Let's hope that with 15 to go we can have a better run this time round.
And everyone knows when you get into the last 10 laps or so, no one is giving an inch, and we are almost at that point. So it's definitely that time. And for those who are at the front of the field now, what an opportunity this could be to get a win and to lock yourselves into the playoffs. Of course, it is the top 15 in the championship who at the end of Daytona, race 14, they'll go into the playoffs. With 25 drivers on the field today, obviously that's quite a good percentage, but you still want to lock yourself in there and make sure there's no risks of dropping out with any funny business happening in the next few rounds. So this could be a good one for the likes of Yokoshu, Bohlin, Wildeber or Hockenschott in those front 2 rows, trying to get their first win of the season. We work our way up towards turn 3, and Ewan, just quickly, how many corners do you think, or how many laps do you think this time?
Less than 10, I'll be honest. I don't think we're going to see another 10-lap run in this race, but I think it will be somewhere between that and certainly longer than the last one. Let's hope so.
Absolutely. So we had only 2 leaders in the previous round at Indianapolis road course. 0 cautions. Has been a lot different today. We still have 15 laps to find the victor. The pace truck comes in, and we are going to see us going back to green flag racing. It'll be Yokoshu in the 34 machine. Oliver Bohlin gets a good jump. That's probably the best jump we've seen from the driver in 2nd place all day at these restarts, and he should be able to hold on to that. But look at the background. We are 2 by 2, working our way towards the first corner. So wide here. Any big dives down to the inside, but no, they want to keep that line. Oliver Bohlin, though, he's got the speed. He's got back up into the P1 position as he gets past the 34.
Yeah, he certainly proved he's had the speed so far today, and he just needs the clean air. But oh, has he got it? Weaving around. Yokoshu tries to get the lead here. Jesper Eriksson making his way through on the outside, by the way. He's going to be really crashing up to the back of these guys now, with Bohlin and Sue going side by side for the lead.
Certainly are, but 34 doesn't have enough. And we are side by side in the background as well. Eracingligan, Wildeburg, side by side in towards the final corner. Up the inside is going to be for the 24 machine. He should have that one done. And this is obviously working out for those drivers at this point of the race. The top 4 are still on the older tyres. As Linus Broström, who's now in up to sort of the P5 position, P6. He is the one on those slightly newer tyres trying to come through, as well as Jesper Eriksson. Let's see as he comes in towards turn 1. Contact is made. There was definitely a bit of a wiggle there for the 37, but they survive.
Yeah, they all survived through turn 1. Someone scraping the wall on the outside line. A couple of drivers almost running right around the top there. They all get away with it in the end, but everyone running very close to the wall through turn number 1 indeed. We do indeed get the end of that opening lap complete, thankfully, on this restart, and hopefully this is the start of a long green flag run. Eriksson also making some gains here. He pitted just a couple of laps before that caution came out that closed everything back together again. Oh, as we've got another one, I'm afraid, at the end of turn 2.
I wonder if that's Pfeffer. I saw him dropping down in the 200 machine, as we are going to be getting about a 10-lap dash to the end. But again, it's like, do you stay out? Or do you think there's going to be another one of these? When do you want to use those fresher tyres for those who did not pit at the previous stop? Certainly a tough call. So it's a 12 of Hagman. He's got the 10 of Holmbohm. We haven't really spoken about all day. He's had a quiet race. Further contact on the outside turn 2, and I think that was Pfeffer just dropping down the way. Not the biggest contact in the world, but enough to spin the car around and bring the caution out.
Of course, it's not been the most quiet of races for Hagman all day long. He, of course, brought the first caution out of this race, but it was a long time ago, and he's been very quiet since. And he's still been repairing damage, by the way, rather quietly under our noses, under every caution. I'm afraid he's sort of redone some of the damage that his team have worked so hard to repair in the last hour or so, which is a shame.
Yeah, get the duct tape and the that famous clip of the mechanic jumping all over the bonnet, trying to get it flat. That's what you need to do at this point in the race. As long as you can stay on the lead lap and get your car a bit faster, that is the goal. So now, Ewan, do you pit or do you stay out and have the track position? And it always comes down to, as well, how many drivers. If everyone comes down pit lane, of course you're going to go. But if you end up being the only driver to not go down, you're going to be in trouble.
Well, not of course you're going to go, because you might be out of tyres by this point. Don't forget, not everyone's got sets of tyres in the pit lane to use. So watch that, bear that in mind as well. Look at the top left as well here. We can only afford this caution and no more. So it turns out Linus does know what he's talking about. And it is 7 that we can get away with. Yokshu is in, and so is Wildeburg. In the background, Holmbohm too, but he's repairing damage. So Shu and Wildeburg decide to come in this time round, and it's a good call, because the next caution might end the race depending on how quickly that time ticks down.
Exactly. So I guess it's track position now. You want to keep that. If we're not going to go on the laps, then you want to be staying out, and not, because you don't have the time for the strategy to work out. As it stands, we do get to 12 to go. But yes, let's see indeed how quickly that one is going to get close. It's going to be about, obviously, 10 laps to go, 11 laps to go when we get to the restart. And it is going to be Bohlin versus Eriksson. There's a 5-lap differential between them in favour of Eriksson, who's looked fast all day.
Certainly has. And it really is a difficult call now as to say who's going to win this race. I really wouldn't know where to look for that. I mean, even, it sounds crazy to say, even Shu down in 14th is not out of the question at all here. But the slight worry he's going to have is that he's too far behind the likes of Eriksson, who are on relatively new tyres, that when he gets up to these top 5 positions again, and I believe he will, is Eriksson going to be too far up the road with too little time remaining? That would be my concern. He does need a very good restart here, and some of that is out of his hands.
Yes, there's 2 factors, as you're mentioning, the position, but also the time. Because even if he gets up into 2nd place by the time Eriksson leads, if Eriksson's 5 seconds up the road, that doesn't matter. So it's going to be a tough one for him to try and get that win back. As Marcus Hagman's still down pit road, Tony Uvenen at this time as well. So it's always one of those things with the strategy. You just have to be reactive to what is in front of you. It doesn't matter. We're speaking earlier as well about Linus Broström and Araton having the complete wrong strategy call at one point in the race. They're both up inside the top 5. So sometimes things do work out as we go side by side. 11 to go, be 10 at the line, and we should just about have enough time to get those laps in if we stay green.
Yes, we will. I think just about, but as you say, we can't afford any more cautions. I think another caution is going to get close to ending the race because of time, and that could be a bit of a concern. We have lost so far only one race to time, and that was of course at Bristol, where we lost the last 47 kilometers of that race in the end. What does that equate to? About 40 odd laps or something like that? Maybe a little bit more, but we're going to lose a lot less than that if indeed we lose any here. Hopefully it is a nice 10-lap green flag run to the finish.
Absolutely. It's obviously Bristol is a funny one with the lap counts, but let's just say that's 30 miles. It's half mile over, isn't it? 60 laps, something like that we lost that time around. But the laps are a lot longer here. 2.5 miles we go around, so still 25 miles remaining. And we need to find out who is going to be coming out as the victor with 10 laps to go. Oliver Bohlin in the 72. He's going to have the inside line. Jesper Eriksson is on the outside, but look who is behind Bohlin. He's got his teammate of Araton. He's got Håkan Schott, his sister teammate. He's got Linus Broström there as well. We've got RaceSpotTV 4 in the top 5. And then we have finally a teammate for Eriksson in Dan Holmwood there in 6th place. It is SimRace Sweden versus RaceSpotTV for this victory, you would assume, or is going to be another twist in the tail, and is the caution going to come out, which may bring us to a timed race and the lap count not being completed. The pace truck comes in, and let's have a look as how this potential final stint of the oddly sweet 3-turn oval by Team Superior is going to go, as the 72 has a great start. His 2 teammates in behind have gone absolutely nowhere, and he's all on his own as he works his way towards the first corner. Jesper Eriksson is looking strong on that outside line, but so has Araton on this inside all day as he tries to work his way through. Look at the RaceSpotTV cars coming there, but Eriksson on the outside line. He's lost second place though as Araton goes through. Oh, contact is made! He hits the back of him. Broström loses his front wing. Holmer's gone onto his hood as well as there's further cautions come out with 10 laps to go. I'm sure we're going to be seeing drivers potentially staying out as this is going to be a timed race.
This is going to be a timed race, and are we going to get a restart to this race? That's going to be the question here. Generally, cautions take 8 minutes from when the pace car picks them up. So if we've got less than that remaining, and we must be getting close now, then we will be in trouble. But I do believe we're going to have a chance for at least one more restart. We are, though, going to lose laps to time here in this race for the second time this season, and for the first time since the middle of September. It was a huge accident on the back straight. Absolutely massive, and you say Daniel Holmer went up onto his roof. It was Araton trying to come up on Eriksson. There just wasn't space to do it. He's rather awkwardly been clipped there, Holmer, and he goes up onto his roof over and over again. And thankfully, he doesn't seem to have come to too much harm, but that was a very big crash on the back straight, and another caution comes out.
And if we stay caution, that might work out quite well for Linus with this damage, and he might be able to get himself on the podium with that. But I just wonder, is this now the race for Oliver Bohlin? As you say, in terms of the time that it takes to go around, that is quite something. But then, does anyone want to risk going down pit lane and hoping for a final lap dash in some way? That could be a few positions. Here's from Yokoshu's position. He goes to the left-hand side. That's actually where the cars are, so he comes back to the right-hand side to avoid Holmer spinning around on his roof.
He does well to avoid, and many do in this field, but unfortunately some have come to blows. Araton and Håkan Schott already into pit lane. As you say, I think some of these are persevering with the damage they've got, hoping that this race doesn't restart and they can coast over the line with their rather damaged cars in whatever position they find themselves in now.
Big choice though, because if we do get 1 or 2 green flag laps at the end, then they could be under big threat from losing out from these positions. So Linus comes to the inside. Surely not, unless he has some sort of meatball. He is coming down pit road, so whether that was by choice or not, He is coming down pit road. He's going to get some repairs. And he's going to try and do something. A lot of drivers coming in, actually. We've got Holmborn, Bratberg, Uvnen, Hogman, Holmer, Ayrton, Schott, all the drivers in pit lane as we stand, which leaves just 9 drivers out there. It is getting, it's getting a bit like a scrapyard down pit lane. We've already got 5 drivers out of the race. We've got multiple drivers, many laps down, and that on screen is just the drivers that remain.
Yes. Well, we will see whether we get a restart here in a few minutes' time, but you can see what we're left with. It's, I think, effectively Bohlin, Ericsson, maybe Helmbro can get involved. Forsen, I think, could be tricky. I'm not sure he's got all his damage repaired, to be honest with you. His last pit stop was 1:09 because it was under caution, and he was still repairing his car, even under one of the recent cautions. So I don't know if he's quite going to have the speed, but we'll see, of course. And again, we don't know how many laps we will have remaining when we go back green here. It's a bit of a mystery at the moment. Caution laps, for your reference, are about 2 minutes round here, maybe just less. So that is what we're looking at for the moment. We must be close to the final 5 minutes of this race now.
Yes, 8 laps to go, 50. Well, the best lap of the race is about 53, but most of the race laps are about 56 seconds. So let's just say a minute a lap. So for 7 laps to go the line, we will need 7 minutes to go under normal conditions, and it's obviously going to be getting very tight. Very tight to that indeed. Oh, as it's so we're not going to make it, because the live timing is saying that's going to take 7.5 minutes, and that's at normal race conditions. So including the extra lap or so, we are going to be a few laps short. And therefore, this is going to be quite something indeed. But oh my word, it's quite an interesting one, as the pace truck surely is going to come in at the end of this one.
You say that, we might well just we might effectively, if we go green to the end, I think we're going to have the rather bizarre situation where the white flag will be shown because time is running out, but because also it's the final lap as well. I think we're going to time this exactly perfectly if it runs green to the end, but considering we haven't had a green flag run numbering more than 1 for ages, it's a big ask.
It sure is. 7 minutes remain, and we are going to have 7 laps. It's, well, 6, I guess, by the time they get to the line. So it's going to be a tough task for those who pit. The first of those is Cedric Holmbom, who's in P10. He came out pit road first. Linus Broström was down in P13 after being involved in that incident. Aronson down in P17 as well. He's still in pit lane. Holmer, who was on his roof, he got back going. He's in P14. They still haven't even caught up in the background, as we'll be going green flag very, very soon indeed. So we might not even have the full field, although they do still have half a lap to get on the back of the pace truck. And I guess, Ewan, it's now a battle between Bohlin, Ericsson, Helmbro and Forsen. Bohlin is on 5 lap older tyres. Can he keep them behind?
I think he's in a decent position because he's on the inside going to turn 1, but there's going to be a lot of laps left for him to do this, and whether he's going to manage it or not, I'm not entirely sure. Of course, when we go back green here, we should have about 6 laps remaining as far as time and indeed laps goes. We might indeed squeeze all the laps in here, but let's wait and see how we get on with this restart. We've had 3 cautions in a row now after less than 2 laps of racing. Let's hope we can get a bit of a run together here for the very last time.
The oddly sweet 3-turn oval has 5.5 minutes to go. We are right on the bubble. We might be 1 lap short, but Oliver Bohlin has had an absolutely mega restart here. He's pulled away from the 37. Helmbro is left in the dust on that inside line as well. Side by side for Stiller and Forsland on that 3rd row of the grid as he go back to green flag racing. How long are we going to get? Can we get to the end of the race? There's completely different tyre strategies out there. All the drivers have been doing something completely different. The cautions have completely changed this race, but they just have a couple of laps to go to the end.
Watch out for those on new tyres. Don't forget here, Zhoxu goes through the middle through turn 1. He's back to 7th. He's in a decent place here. Side by side for 4th. As down the inside goes Marcus Stiller and Peter Helmbro. Helmbro could have really put the pressure on Ericsson there, and that would have helped Oliver Bohlin, but he's not been able to. The battle for 3rd consumes them now, and it's going to be between Ericsson and Bohlin surely for the race win here at Pocono.
Let's see what Yokishu can do. In the background, there's someone sliding up high towards the wall. As this is, look at the run he's got. Yokishu past Forsen already. He's up into P5. And this is going to be getting a push from Pfeffer as well in that 200 machine. He was the one who was looking really wide in the final corner, but he actually used it to good effect. He goes down the inside. Oh, contact is made with 34. He goes up high, and the caution might come out. Oh, no, he keeps it straight. So we stay under green flag racing. Is that actually going to help him? Because he's now going to be losing places with that momentum.
That's a real shame for Yokishu because he was going so well there through the field, but unfortunately contact was always going to be likely, unfortunately, at the end. And you can see how disappointed he was as well with that. Really disappointed. That'll be it. Someone's in the wall. That should be it. And it's Björn Broström who's in the wall. It's going to end there with less than 4 minutes to go. That will be that.
And as the caution comes out, as Oliver Bohlin leading the way from Jesper Eriksson, he was able to hold off on the restart, and that might have been enough, or it should have been enough, to get him the race victory today. And that will be another victor this season. And a very good time for it as well, for him to get that, because Eriksson was sort of running away with it a bit in the recent rounds. He's down 13th place in the championship. Let's see how it came out though. The 10, again, exactly what we saw. The 10 spinning around Hogman earlier on. Exactly the same incident in turn 2. The cars halfway alongside each other, and the 41 gets sent up into the wall.
Yeah, that's the third incident of the season, the race for Holmbom, and all of them on the outside of turn 2. Bizarre symmetry there with that. And if he ever does another race here at Pocono, I don't think he's ever going to put himself on the outside of that corner ever again, because he's found himself in real trouble out there in the past. But that will be that. This race shouldn't restart now. The next lap will not be shown the white flag, but the time will elapse at the end of the next one, and Oliver Bohlin should come through to take his victory. He is the worst placed of the victors coming into this round, at 13th position, currently coming in with only one top 10 on the season, but he's about to take a race win here at Pocono.
That's a ridiculous stat. One top 10 for the speed that the 72 has had this season. Just shows you how difficult these races are. And he's waited till round 7, as we have just about 2 minutes remaining. But it should stay under caution till then, and I doubt that we will get any more racing laps. But what a race it has been for him though, because he held off Jesper Eriksson multiple times, led the race early on as well, even before we got all the strategy games coming into it. So he's really sort of deserved that, and at times, made the moves when he had to get back to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this race, although it has been very fraught with cautions, that's the 9th of the day, for example, it has also really been a show of and a class of quite who is good on these restarts and who can race really well in these short bursts. As I mentioned, we haven't had a green flag run numbering more than 2 laps now for the last 25 or so in the races overall. So it's been very stop-start in that respect, but Oliver Bohlin has done a fantastic job on these restarts. That last one particularly, getting the reaction, catching Jesper Eriksson off guard on the way towards turn 1, starting off that last restart. That's very, very hard to do indeed. And it's in hindsight, that has effectively won in this race. He didn't actually have to do any defending. It was just the restart itself.
Absolutely, perfectly timed. And even Peter Helmbro in the 77 in that 3rd place. He is going to be getting his 2nd top 5 of the season. Marcus Stiller in P4 from the back of the grid, not qualifying. That is quite something as well. What a interesting race we've had here at Pocono. Unfortunately, none of the superior cars having an amazing day. Bratberg is up there in 6th place, and a strong result, especially after having the contact and the damage early on. And unfortunately for their other cars, not the day that they would have wanted. Connie Lundell down in 17th place, but we do thank them for coming out and sponsoring this race, as the time is counting down. Just 10 seconds remain, and then we will be at the end of this oddly sweet 3-turn oval by Team Superior. But it will be the Morby Bright Esports driver of Oliver Bohlin who is going to come across the line as the final lap signal comes out, and he's going to take his victory and lock himself into the playoffs, jumping up from P13 in the championship. What a time that is for him, winning round number 7.
Yeah, congratulations to him. I believe that's the first time this season, isn't it, that we've finished under caution, if I'm not mistaken. I don't quite remember, but a great occasion for Oliver Bohlin, nevertheless, as he comes over the line. Indeed, we've not actually got the checker flag out yet, have we, actually?
That's my bad. I called that one lap too early. So it's obviously time limit +1.
So what happens normally, obviously, iRacing bases when it throws the white flag based on the average lap time or something like that, or the best lap time, something like that. And if you cross the line with too long to go, it won't show you the white flag at the time. And obviously, you need to see the white flag before the checker, before the end. So actually, even though time has elapsed, and in real life we would be ending there, they are just going to have to go through one more. So this race will be 86 laps instead of the 87. We're going to lose 1 lap to time here today. As I say, from your memory, is that the first one finished under caution? I can't remember Bristol now.
I don't remember finishing under caution, no. We've had the weird 1-lap shootouts at the end, but I don't necessarily remember finishing behind the pace truck. The lights are out on the pace truck, but I do hope we don't have to get any sort of restart and any shenanigans. Do you remember, was it Monaco 2010 in Formula 1, where they had a 1-corner dash? Technically, although Schumacher actually got penalised for overtaking that time around, but of course this is NASCAR and slightly different. But either way, we'll continue saying the good things about Oliver Bohlin, because he has had a great drive today and a great journey to get that 72 machine up ahead. Jesper Eriksson missing out on a 3rd race victory of the season, but it will be his 5th top 5 in the 7 races, and the other
right on the edge of making it or not. In fact, only 9 points ahead of 16th place Nicholas Helm going into today. That's how close it would have been, but all of those concerns will go away now, and Oliver Bohlin will be in the playoffs no matter what, heading into the new year.
And of course, a little bit of a subdued finish there to what was quite a chaotic and eventful race. And I think, Ewan, it seemed that turn 2 there was what was causing most of those issues. Drivers going side by side at such a tricky track. I'm really just showing how hard it is to overtake around here.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be very tricky indeed, but ended up being a good race. More chaotic, actually, and more caution filled than I expected, actually. But clearly, especially on restarts, this car pretty difficult around this circuit. Doesn't have a lot of banking, of course, and maybe that's a point of concern going forward. We'll see what other circuits like this one are going to be like. But it was a very caution-filled race indeed, that's for sure.
And it was a tough day for the Morby Bright Esports camp, because of course Oliver Bohlin won the race, but Linus Broström involved in that battle, in that crash I should say, one of the penultimate cautions. Alex Aronson as well, they dropped down quite a way, but in the end it is Oliver Bohlin, the 72 machine, serving us some donuts as he goes onto 2 wheels with the gripped up car there. And he is going to be getting, I think, maybe one of his teammates joining him as well. And that is a great donut there as he goes across the stripe. Here is your unofficial results, though, of course, there might be a few penalties after some of these caution accidents. Oliver Bohlin won after 86 laps by 0.2 of a second from Ericsson and Helmbro, who round out your podium. Stiller has a great result from the back of the grid up into P4, with Pfeffer, Bratberg, also strong results from those 3 Toyotas inside the top 6. Forsland is in 7th. Tidemo, who's involved in one of the cautions, but got back up to P8. Broström, himself involved in a caution, gets up to P9. And of course, P10 was Jokashu. Uvinen, Holmer, Hogman and Holmbom ran out top 14, with Broström, Lundberg, Wilderberg, who dropped down to P17, and Schott, Aronson and Cannell inside your top 20. But look how many laps down some of these drivers are. And unfortunately, some DNFs at the back. Ericsson, Gantz, Nordgren, Kenneth Tier, and Eric Lundberg, rounding out your 25 cars for today's round 7 of the championship. And of course, we will jump into some interviews and we'll get some words with these drivers. We'll bring in first the 72, Oliver Bohlin from Morby Bright Esports. And Oliver, your first win of the season. You must be really happy with that one.
I'm super happy. It was a bit anticlimactic with finishing on the caution there, and no one knew whether it would be the checker flag or one lap shootout. But yeah, it feels so good to be in victory lanes.
Yeah, it was a very chaotic race. There was a lot of cautions there. I think it was 8 we had in the end. Were you just going with the flow, with the strategy? It was very hard to choose which cautions to make your pit stops.
Yeah, it was super difficult. But at the end there, I was just thinking that track position was the only way to get a good result. And fortunately, it was quite chaotic in the end, so because the others behind had newer tires. But yeah, it worked out.
At the end, you had 5-lap older tyres than Jesper and Peter behind you as well. If we went green to the end for those final sort of 10 laps, do you think you could have held them off?
I would have given it everything, but so it would have been difficult to say. It would have been a good race, I think, but it would have been difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of the things that we do know, though, your pace is becoming very good in this championship. Even towards the end of last season, you were looking very, very strong. You're in a great team as well. Do you think you have a chance at this championship? Of course, you were 13th in the standings. Maybe some of the results haven't gone your way, but your pace is looking really good right now.
Yeah, thank you. It's feeling good. I just need to get a bit better on the long runs, but otherwise I feel, yeah, everything is being decided in the final race, so why not? If you are there, you can be the champion.
Absolutely, and you will be there when we get to the round of 15, so congratulations, and maybe we'll speak to you again this season.
Thank you very much.
And next we will bring in, of course, Jesper Ericsson in the number 37, who looked so strong today on the pace. Jesper, you got the pole position and you led quite a few laps today, but the strategy didn't quite work out for you in the end. Just how would you sort of sum up that race in general?
To be honest, a pretty big disappointment, to be honest. I felt like I had the lead and had the win, pretty like crammed up, and so yeah. Well, better time caution, better time everything. To be honest, just kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tough day to work out when to pit. On that final tire change, you actually came in quite early. Was that to just avoid staying out on those older tires, really, or was it anything else?
Well, to be honest, I did have quite maybe 10 laps newer tires than the guys behind me. So it was basically just trying to cover off Peter and at the same time just trying to undercut everyone, because I knew that an overcut at that distance would be quite impossible. So just trying to build a gap and go safely home. But yeah.
Absolutely. How difficult did you find this track, really? We saw so 9 cautions in the end. It seemed very difficult to go side by side.
Yeah, it's a hard track to race on, but it is one of my favorite tracks. I don't know how many laps I got in before this race. It wasn't a lot because I had other stuff to do. 11 laps of practice today, so it's one of my best tracks and one of my absolute favorite tracks. So for me, it's not that hard, but for I think a lot of people, it's a hard track to race at.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're still locked into the playoffs. So you're feeling good, I guess, just rolling through the races before you can have a go at this championship?
Yeah, now just trying to pin them off and win the regular season for a third time in a row and trying to just build up the playoff points and have a secure drive to the finish, I guess, and try to win it. It's Phoenix. It's Alex's absolute best track, so we'll see what we can do. I won it last year, so hope I can win it this year.
Absolutely, and we wish you luck with that. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, boys.
And that's unfortunately Peter's not joining us, so that will conclude the interviews for round 7 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. And what an interesting, chaotic race it was. We got the long green flag pit stop run in the middle of the race, but then we ended up with multiple cautions and we had to go a lap short. But after all that action, Oliver Bohlin was the victor in the number 72 machine. Locks him into the playoffs. It's been myself, Cameron Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and we will see you in a couple of weeks where we go to a double header at Iowa Speedway. And of course, we'll have the IndyCar series coming back next week as well. Every week, same time, same place here, 8 p.m. CT on RaceSpotTV. It's been Hugo Louise on the production behind the scenes, and we'll leave you with shots of the 72 serving up us some donuts as he took victory here at Pocono. We'll see you next time.